Hi, welcome to this lesson of our study of data science. I'm very happy that you keep on learning and you completed the last lessons. So in this lesson, what we're gonna do is go through Python list, and the reason for this is that in data science there will be a very complex structure of matrix representation of data, and with that we're gonna subset some aspect of that structure, and so we need to be able to understand what data, the list data type, how we can subset, how we can take some part of it, how it is being created, and everything. Okay, so we're going to dive more into Python data type called a list, and in about 3 videos, and we'll continue from there. Okay, so in Python, if I want to create a list, I create list by open and close square brackets. Okay, so and then each element in the list is being separated by a comma, right? So comma separate each one of them, right? So let's create a simple list of integers. Okay, I'm saying this list, I want to call it numbers. Like I said, open and close square brackets, and then I put in all the numbers that I want to put in. Okay, so we can think of the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so sorry, in the square bracket, 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma, sorry, you have to separate each element of that by a comma, right? And so when we are done, we can print this list of numbers and see how it looks like. Okay, so if I print, I get to see a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? um if I want to add some comments or some sentence to my list, maybe I want to tell the user or whoever that gets this that, oh, this is a simple list, right? So what I do is I put open quotations right in front of the numbers in the print argument, and what I do is I tell the person this is, oh, simple list of numbers, right? And then I have to, all of these is a string or is a statement that I want to write. And if you remember, if you want to write a statement in Python in sentence or in alphabets, all that you do is you put everything in quotation marks. Okay, and I have to put a comma here. When I print this, the user is going to see simple list of numbers, and that is the list there. Okay, the next part I want us to talk about is creating a list with different data types. Okay, so if you remember, or if you just realize this, in the numbers list, it contains only the integer, or yeah, the integer data type. We can also create a list with different data types. Okay, so I've called this mixed data types as a list, and this open and close square brackets. Okay, before you type anything in it, and I'm going to pick a number data type. I'm going to pick a float data type. All right. I'm going to pick the string data type, and I'm calling it Python. Okay. And I want to pick a boolean data type, and I'll call it true. Okay. Now, if I print this, um, I have to close it. Now, if I print it, missed data types. Okay. If I print this one, I'm supposed to see the mixed data types here, right? And this is a list containing a mixture of different data types. I can also add another comment to this, like we did for the first one. And the comment I'm going to add to it is list with different data types, right? So it tells the user that this is a list with different data types. Okay. And when I run this, I add that comment to the output, right? So the list with different data types, and that is this list. Okay. Now a list containing objects of data types as variables. So here what it means is that you do variable assignment. That is, you assign some objects to particular variables. Okay, so I want to assign an integer variable as 10 to this variable called integer underscore var. Okay, so this again is also coming from variable assignment. And if you want to play more about it, you can use the resource that, or you can read more about it in the resource that we are using. And the float variable, I'm going to use 2.71, and the string variable, I'm going to use hello world. And you remember, this is how you create a string variable. You put whatever you want to create inside a quotation mark. Okay, so hello world, and then the next one I'm going to talk about is the boolean variable, and here I'm going to call it false. You remember, the boolean variable can take either true or false. Okay, and so I'm going to create a list using these guys. Okay, so complex list, and then what I'm going to do is to pick these variables, right? Integer underscore variable, put it here as one element. So you're going to pick, I'm picking the names of the variables, or yeah, the variable names, and Python will give an output of their representation. So instead of we seeing integer underscore var, we'll see 10, because 10 is the representation of that. Okay, string underscore, let me just write, and then the next one is boolean, right? So if I print this, if I print complex underscore list, I'm supposed to see a list containing these guys here on the right. Okay, yeah, and that's what I have, because this integer is being represented by 10, or it's represented as 10, and then the rest. Okay, so again, we can give more comments, like to make our code more readable. Okay, so list with variable data type. So what it means is we have variable assignments here, and if you run this, you get a more readable output. List with variable data types. Okay, now we want to go to the last part of this lesson, where we'll create a list of lists. So what it means is we have a list containing another list inside of it. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. Open and close square brackets, and it doesn't matter where the open and close square brackets are. Okay, all that you need to do is open and close them. Whatever you type in between these square bracket, whether the square one of the square bracket is up and the other one is down, it doesn't matter. Okay, and the way you can break them, like put one up and put one down, is using the enter key on the keyboard. Okay, in between them, and that's what I have. So here I'm going to create a list inside the same thing, that is 1 comma 2, right? And then the 1 comma 2 comma 3 will be a list of integers, and this is one element of the list. So you know how I've done it. Once I put a comma, it means that this whole thing becomes one element of my list. Okay, and then you can, if you want, you can add a comment to it. So this is a list of integers. Okay, now I want to put another list here, and that list I want to do is a list of floats, right? So it can be any decimal point that you want to pick, 4.1, maybe 5.0. This is a float, right? I want to add the comment again. I hope you understand these ones. So that is a list of floats. The other one I'm going to pick is list of strings. Okay, so open and close them. Sorry, to tie this as an element, you have to add a comma. Okay, so the comma here separate all of these lists. So I'm gonna have apple banana, right? And I have watermelon because I like watermelon, right? And if I run this, I've not printed it yet. So that is a list, nested list containing a list inside it. Okay, it contains three elements. If you look at this nested list, it contains only three elements, and each element here is a list itself. Okay, so let me print this and let you see what I'm talking about. I want to add the comment, right? Nested list. So what I mean by that is list of list. All right. So I'm gonna have this. I'm adding the comment already. So what I'm gonna print is nested underscore list. Okay. So if I print this, I should see, yeah. So here I have the first element of this list is the list of integers. The second element is the list of floats, and the third element is the list of strings. Okay. So now, um, assuming I want to access elements from a listed list. Okay. What it means is the whole of this is the first element, and if you remember in our first or one of our lessons, I mentioned that Python start counting or indexing elements in list from zero. So this is the zeroth element or the first element. So 0 1 2. So we have only three elements and their indexes are 0 1 2. Okay, so assuming I want to access the first element, all right, if I want to access the first element, what I do is print, and I will say access first element. I'm adding this to my outputs, all right, and that how you assess that is you use the indexing zero, and how you index that is again a square bracket, you close it, right, and this means the zeroth element of this nested list, right. If I print that, I'm going to see this, and that's the first element, right. And if I want to access the second list, right, and the second item in the second list. So what I mean is that if you've taken what we called matrices, somehow you'll be able to understand what I'm saying. But don't worry. What it means is I'm going to access the second element in the second. So this is what the second item in the second element of this list. So what it means is I come to the second element of this list, that is this whole thing, right? And I want to access the second item in that. The second item is 5.0, right? And that's what I want to access. So here I'm going to use what we call rows and columns in this, okay? So I will talk about that. So access the second, I want to access the second list. All right. Second item. So the second item in the second list, in this nested list that I'm talking about. And yeah, the main list is nested underscore list, and then I'm talking about the second element, which is 1, and then in that second element, how is indexing in that second element done? It's still done 0, starting from 0 to the next. Okay, so I still have in this second element, right, the first one is indexed as 0 and the second one is 1, right? So if I want to access that, I'm going to have 1 1 in both of them. Okay, and if I print this, I should see 5.0, right? So that is how you do it. Now what I want you to do is do a comprehensive list, and this comprehensive list is your homework that you're supposed to do. A list containing, so make a comprehensive and name it as comprehensive underscore nested underscore list, like I've done here. Make a The list should contain the number list that we created at first, the numbers list, right? That was the first one we created. Numbers as one element. It should contain mixed data type, mixed underscore data types, the one that we did. It should contain all the the list that we've created so far, and contain nested list. Right, it should contain this list, this as an element, right? Nested list as an element of this list, and also contain the list nested list, right? What I mean is the list we just created, which is the nested list. So it should contain these elements: numbers, mixed data types, right? And then it should contain this list as well. This list is a list which has an element nested list in it, and also has the nested list that we created as a list. Okay, so you should be very careful about it here. Just create it, assign it to this variable comprehensive underscore nested list, and then print, get an output, and the output you should print comprehensive nested list, and then that should be the comment you add to whatever you do with someone or to the user. Okay, so I want you to go through that, take time, make sure you get what I'm asking you to do, and then comment in this video your output. Okay, in our next lesson we'll talk about more things we can do with Python list. Okay, see you in our next lesson, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you have not subscribed yet. Okay, see you.